This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to Out of England. This is a very fresh edition of Out of England, and I'd like to let you know at the onset that we get your emails, we read them carefully, we're trying very hard to get better, to get to all different corners of the United Kingdom and Europe, but keep writing to us. Now, where am I? I am at one of my favorite buildings in central London. This is very close to Piccadilly Circus, and this is home to various companies, many of them startups, many of them tech firms, many of them who are in the social media space and so on and so forth. But with me is a team of experts, let me refer to them as experts, who are fantastic at trying to get more business into India, get more people from India to invest into the United Kingdom. And this is a team which is trying to be able to facilitate cross-border technology, trade, exchange, ideas exchange, and basically today we're going to be talking about a lot of money. Let me introduce the lady first, Nina Amin, somebody who has about 2 decades or so experience in the space of Asian markets and so on and so forth. Bhaskar Mazumdar, an IITian, isn't it?
That's right.
IIT what?
Kharagpur.
Kharagpur. And what is Mr. IIT Kharagpur doing here in London?
Well, I run a number of venture funds, and right now we are trying to create a fund which will be unique in positioning, in investing in UK businesses which want to leverage the Indian marketplace.
Right, the money man, the man who raises a lot of money. Jean, welcome to the show. What is your effort about?
So I run Ascension Ventures, which is an early stage tech VC, and I've known Bhaskar for over 15 years, and we decided to do this partnership to back UK companies that want to expand into the Indian marketplace with Nina.
Right, brilliant. So you have joined hands with your firm, which is again a firm that supports startups, isn't it?
That's right.
Is that specific into some particular fraternity? Is that technology alone?
Yes, we are basically a VC fund which invests in technology businesses, but within the technology sector we are quite agnostic.
Okay. Lovely. Now there are a lot of people, and if you are somebody who has perhaps a business idea, or you're running a startup which is about 2 or 3 years old, you're looking for venture. So we are very familiar with the concept that there are startups, and then there are the VCs, and then there are the angel investors. So you have a brilliant idea, you get somebody to invest or back you up, and then you get started, and then you write your story, your own success story. But this is a very unique and a very commendable thought, which is to be able to get people who are doing very well in the UK, for example, to be able to invest in India. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we invest in UK businesses, and these businesses, given the size of the market in India, given all the digital story that is panning out in India, we would enable these businesses to grow back in India.
Right, brilliant. So Nina, you have sort of been this big brother of sorts for the Asian markets in the last some years. Tell me, what is perhaps 1 or 2 USPs of the Indian market today?
So the key USP is that they're very, very successful. They're very determined, they're very focused, and they know what they want. I worked in this space for the last 20 years as a partner for KPMG. So when Bhaskar approached me and asked me if I wanted to chair the investment committee of this exciting new fund, I was absolutely thrilled, because I tell you why. UK is actually one of the most innovative countries in the whole of Europe. Fact number 1, the UK has created more unicorns than any other country in Europe. Right. And that's saying something, right? And so the idea that we would actually invest in UK technology companies that were predominantly disruptors, right? And we would take these companies into the Indian market, ticked all the right boxes, because that's actually something made in heaven, right? You've got the technology in the UK, you've got the amazing digital market that's developing in India, right?
And at what pace?
And at what pace? I mean, at an amazing pace. You've got 1.2 billion people, right, to whom you can market this technology. So this is, I think, in my view, this is an ideal fund for people to invest in.
Sure. I mean, India is today officially the youngest country in the world with the maximum number of youth. So what do you expect in terms of digital transformation? There is going to be that boom, really. What does it take, Jean, for a UK company to say, okay, look, India is fantastic, India's got a digital boom, but then India has these known issues. You know, we've always dealt with things like corruption and paperwork which takes forever. What does it take for a UK company to say, yes, I'm ready, I'm going to India?
Well, there are 2 points. Firstly, you know, we've backed about 70 companies in the last 5 years, and a big focus for them is Asia. And if you look at Asia, it's a massive opportunity, but also very difficult to enter. But out of all the Asian countries, I think India is the one to go into first. There's a kind of common cultural heritage with the UK and some shared language as well. So that's kind of the first point. And I think what's unique about our partnership is not only are we investing cash into these businesses, but we've got Bashkar and Unicorn VC based in India with 3 offices. So we kind of help them land in that market and expand by helping with, you know, strategic partnerships and understanding that their business models can work in that market. So it's kind of not only money, but also support.
And support in terms of legal aspects, is it? Or paperwork,
well, I think
is it?
Would be legal aspects, but deeper commercial relationships and contacts, which is key to do business in those markets, in any market, but especially in India.
Okay, and what is this fund that you're talking about? You know, we're very familiar living in the UK. We're very familiar to this term raising funds because, you know, everything is about people pooling in money together to be able to, of course, support a cause, a community, an initiative. But what is this cross-border fund that Unicorn and Ascension is trying to raise?
So we are looking at raising about. So this is, just to simplify things, this is a EIS fund, Enterprise Investment Scheme, and this is a very standard product which has been there in UK for about 10 plus years. Right. And it gives a lot of tax relief to the investors who are coming into the fund. And this has played a big role in the last 10 years, in the last decade, to kickstart the UK startup environment. So ours is a EIS fund, which would give the inherent advantages to the investors. And fundamentally, we would be looking at raising about £5 to £6 million every year and investing in about 6 to 8 businesses. These are not startups. These are typically scale-up businesses at the stage when the businesses are looking at the next region to go to after they've already been successful in UK.
We're looking at a lot of health tech, agri-tech, and other such businesses that can expand into the Indian market.
And what are these brilliant innovations that we're talking of in the UK? Can you give me examples of something that's astounding from India perspective? Because India is one of the leaders when it comes to technology in its own space, and especially in the Commonwealth, it's really positioned itself as a standalone leader. So give me examples of these brilliant innovations that would work very well. Yes.
So there's one business in our portfolio that we invested in a few years ago called Aston iTech. So it was a spin out from Aston University up in Birmingham. And what they've done using technology and advancements in tablets, like iPads and other tablets, they can create all of the equipment that you would have in an optometry set, which would cost £300,000 if you're an optometrist to set up your office. They've managed to fit all of this into a backpack, so they're doing deals in India so that they can train optometrists that can go by bus around the Indian countryside giving eye tests, which is bringing that to the people, which otherwise you wouldn't be able to afford to set up an optometry station in a small village, for example.
Wow. Sounds amazing. And any other such interesting ideas?
Well, you know, London is the FinTech centre of the world, I would say. But so there are a number of very, very disruptive FinTech technologies that are available for investments. You know, starting from sort of, you know, risks, compliance, security, cyber security, all those will apply to India as it goes through the digital transformation. And those are some of the technologies that we think would work really, really well in India.
Bhaskar, how is cross-border going to work in this whole concept? It's fantastic, these brilliant innovations going to India. What about India exporting stuff?
I think it's a very valid question that you've asked, Radhika. One of the things which is starting to happen is, for the first time in the last couple of years, you've started to see the new gen unicorns out of India coming out to take their rightful place in the global marketplace. This has been fomented by what's happened in China. You have Tencent going all across, 100% created in China. Now you have, in the last 2 months, you have got Ola cabs, which has come to UK. They've already launched in Manchester. They're waiting for the London license to come through, and they'd give Uber a run for its money for sure. The other unicorn in India, Oyo Rooms, they have come here with a big splash. They are going after the Travelodge market. And this is just the beginning of this new cross-border, where you see the new Indian unicorns starting to make their place across the globe.
Across the globe and having a footfall there.
Yeah.
Okay. And having dealt with so many companies, Indian, perhaps European, you of course an expert at Asian markets, what is India's place really? And this could be a subjective question. Sure. We are always talking about India being the new startup capital, Bangalore giving tough competition to the Silicon Valleys of the world and so on. Realistically, where does India stand, and which is that one sector or two sectors in India which is really sort of which is shining? Some say e-commerce, some say tech. Where does India stand?
So I think, given the mass population, I think the health sector is really, really developing very, very quickly. And because they don't have the NHS system that we do have here, they have to be very innovative. They have to be very competitive. Things like the optometry that John mentioned.
Those ophthalmologist on the go.
On the go.
Yeah. In case they need creative ideas, then I'm here. And a creative consultant, yes.
So I think those are the things where I think India will excel.
Yes, I think the health sector, you're right, because there's so much demand, and apparently the new manifesto in 2019 is going to focus a lot on the health sector. Rajasthan had this model where they wanted to give away free medicines, and apparently it worked very well. So yes, the health sector seems to be something that people are really interested in. Any thoughts on where India stands?
Well, again, I think from the UK perspective, Asia's the biggest market that they can access, and India is the perfect entry point and beachhead for these UK companies going into the Asian market.
Sure. Okay. That's very well put, because the question that I'm leading on to is the fact that in 2019 in March we're going to have Brexit, and post that we'll be hoping that there'll be more trade deals that the UK will be looking at, and India is certainly one partner that they will sort of hopefully focus on for it to be a win-win situation, and mainly I think for Britain, given the dynamics and the digital revolution I think that India has seen. Yes, Bhaskar.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and the thesis of this fund is exactly that. India, India of course is a great market, and innovation has now started to come to India, but we see in certain areas a lot more innovation happening in UK. The UK university system is very linked with the commercial world, unlike in India, where despite all best efforts, it's still two separate arms. So we see fundamentally innovative companies from UK leveraging the Indian marketplace. I mean, that in short is a philosophy we have, and all the three of us believe in that, and that has found vent from our perspective through this fund.
Okay, and how are you different from other companies which have similar profiles?
As a fund, I don't think there are anyone else who's trying to do this. We were very clear that we did not want to take an advisory route. in terms of enabling UK scale-ups to go to India. We wanted to be a principal where we have not just advisory capabilities, but also a skin in the game along with the entrepreneurs. And that's where we've come from.
Can I just add something to it? The reason why I think we are unique and the first of our kind is we're the only fund that's UK tax approved, so investors get UK tax relief on it. We are going to invest in UK technology companies only, right? And last but not least, we're going to take and sell into the Indian market. Now, you might think that India is already, very, very technologically advanced, but what we want to do is we want to bring our sort of, world-class disruptive technologies into India, and so that we benefit from the two very, very strong markets, the UK innovation and the Indian digital market.
Okay. And briefly, what are the things, 1, 2, 3 things that that you will look at when you and then decide, okay, we're ready to invest in this company? What should a company be like? Yes. Jean.
Well, first of all, it has to be a good business and being successfully launched in the UK and doing well. So generally, the businesses will be doing between 20 and 100,000 pounds in monthly revenues. Secondly, there needs to be a very clear strategy of how they enter the Indian market. So it can't just be, can you give me some money and help me get into India? They need to have already been thinking through or have some kind of strategic partnerships underway in the Indian market so that we can kind of differentiate between all of the startups that will come for funding. And thirdly, we'll be co-investing with some of the top VCs in the UK, so we'll work together to help implement that strategy through our kind of feet on the ground in India. Plus, a lot of the investors coming into the fund are either from India or of Indian descent. So a lot of our investors will add value to the portfolio businesses as well by opening doors in that market.
Okay, I've been wanting to sell idlis at Victoria Station and someday, and I don't see you investing in my company. No. I clearly see a rejection there.
Where's the technology in that?
Yeah, where's the technology? It takes a great deal of assessment to understand what temperature the grinder has to be at and what goes into every single idli. But I will do a separate episode on that, and perhaps a half an hour on that. I think idlis are worth it. Well, now before I conclude, I'd like to get to this broader aspect of Brexit that's going to be happening very soon, hopefully, and hopefully there'll be a deal, or even if there is no deal. What about India? Have you thought, or do you have conversations, given you're doing so much of cross-border, especially tech, trade, different ideas, health sector, somebody perhaps who's investing or who's creating a product-based company and so on and so forth. Do you have conversations during your lunch hour about an India-UK trade tech deal?
So I think when Narendra Modi was last here, right, this was very much on the agenda between Theresa May and Narendra Modi. And from memory, I think they signed, at least 6 initiatives, right?
Yeah, memorandums, yes.
Between UK and India, specifically on the UK-India technology arena. Yes. Yeah.
So you see potential.
So I see there's a huge potential here, and I think both governments are very, very pro-trade between the two countries, and I'm sure Brexit is only going to strengthen the ties between the two countries.
Okay, brilliant. Well, that brings me to the end of this conversation. I wish you and your team very well. I wish you raise a lot of money, support a lot of businesses, take a lot of talent to India, and bring a lot of talent from India to be able to set up shop in the UK and possibly Europe and everywhere else, should there be the space. Write in with your ideas. ooe@ndtv.com is where you write to. If you have business ideas to pitch, I might take a commission, but do write to me. I'll be waiting for your emails and your feedback. Again, wish you very, very well indeed. Thank you very much. Goodbye now.